What is up, everybody? Welcome to the live today. A little hurried as we're trying to get the mail, waiting for the mail to get here with some new merch and from T Public, and it's out in the mailbox literally just at this moment. So I'm going to keep my regular old school Murder Metal Mayhem shirt for the time being, but I wanted to wear the Mayhem Squad today because we're doing a huge Labor Day sale in the store. I know I've been posting it on the community tab, but yeah, we got everything's like 35% off from T Public, which is really cool. They do these all the time. So if you could time it right, you get some nice merch, really cheap. Uh, but uh, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here. It's a lot of the familiar faces, of course, Donna Lembo, and got Karis from Voice of Astrology, got Misleading Evidence, Laura D, and Christina. I'm going to say this: you guys are the first ones here today, so why don't you, if you're not already on the waiting list to get one of these, send me an email with your snail mail. If I already have it, just send it to me because that'll prompt me to remind me to send it. And I'll send you out one of these Murder Metal Mayhem stickers. Just send it to Pete at murdermetalmayhem.com. And you guys are the first five in. So let's do that. And uh, so, yeah, you get some stickers there. So just send me an email. I'll get you taken care of. I'm really backlogged with getting those stickers out. I apologize. I just was waiting on one last thing to get them done, and that's some paper. So I like to write handwritten notes with everything, even if it's something as simple as a sticker. I think it's important to get your little correspondence there with your merch. So I've always been like that. I just hate sending something out with nothing in it. If I ever do that to you, it's out of sheer just being in a frantic rush. But yeah, doing good. Mag Mac doing good. Christina, my email, Pete at murdermetalmayhem.com. Pete at murdermetalmayhem.com or Pete at PeteAltieri.com. But send it to Pete at murdermetalmayhem.com. Yeah, it's not an app. Just send it to me that way, and just put the subject sticker, and I'll get you something. I have not heard. Donna's asking how's AR doing. Uh, in case you're not familiar, AR Hayes from A Convict's Thoughts was in the hospital having some surgery done, and he had the surgery yesterday. I texted him last night. I have not heard back, so I'm sure he's just zonked and probably got some visitors and stuff going on. So I get it, but I haven't heard anything after the surgery. I just knew he had surgery yesterday, so he does appreciate you guys keeping him in your thoughts. I'm doing good here. I've got continued improvement. Waiting on my October 1st appointment with the VA to start trying the prosthetic. That's going to be very exciting. Um, and that sort of thing. So that's where I am with that. But Mag Mac Jackson asking if AR needs any support. That stuff is always appreciated, especially for a guy who's got little access to insurance. So yeah, if you want to go to a Convict's Thoughts page, send him a super sticker. He's probably got his Cash App and stuff on his channel. You can get it that way and send him something if you like. I'm sure he would greatly appreciate that. But as always, with all of us here, me, AR, Lucky, Lee, we are in no way expecting that kind of thing. So you do what you like, and it's up to you. It's your money. So hey, Brenda, what's up? Getting some people filing in. But yeah, Donna, definitely thinking about AR. He's such a good guy. And I know when I was in the hospital, I was going out of my mind. And AR was just, man, I don't know what I would have done without him, honestly. At night, late at night, I'd be talking to him on the phone, just really bumming about being in the hospital. And, we kind of equated it in some strange way to, doing time. It was funny because the second time I was in the hospital, or the first time when I was in there for necrotizing fasciitis, I was in there for 7 weeks, just under 7 weeks. So that was a long stretch, and then I came home for 6 weeks, and then been back in the hospital again with a different issue. And so the second time around, I was talking to him one night. I said, "Man, this is a little bit easier." And he said, before he could even get it out, I said, "I feel like I'm doing time, like it's easier the second time around," type of thing. And he laughed. He says, "Man, that's exactly what I was just going to tell you. You sound like a convict." So, so I guess it is similar, but no fun. Even for a guy like AR that's been through that whole thing, nobody wants to be in the hospital. I can't imagine why you'd want to be in there. So yeah, ex-cons, that have done their time and served their sentences. In my opinion, we're square. You know, we in the true crime community may not always agree with the sentences they get. Right? Sometimes we feel they're too light. But the fact of the matter is that's what our system has deemed them to serve, and they serve, and then they're done, and then that's how it should be. We shouldn't be hanging this dark cloud over their damn head their entire lives. I mean, these guys need to be able to move on themselves and get jobs and stuff. You can't get a job with that on your record in most occupations. So that's why, unfortunately, you do see a lot of them here on YouTube. Honestly, I mean, there are quite a few here in the true crime community, just because I'm sure it's a good way to bring in some money if you're good at it, and there's no background check. You just do your thing. So yeah, AR's a good dude. So but but yeah, I see that everybody is filing in. We expect in these free, open, true crime discussions that this is going to be a smaller group, and that's fine. I've been telling you it doesn't bother me. Now, I'm not trying to, pimp out the merchandise here, but I got to say, of all the things I've bought from T Public, so if you're trying to decide, what do I want to buy? I can't afford all this stuff. It's cool, but I can't afford it. I can just buy one thing. These travel mugs are amazing. Very sturdy, very legit. I had a coffee in one of these yesterday morning, and it was still warm in the afternoon. I'm not exaggerating. Really, really good. And the logo looks great on it. That's the new one, but you can get the old one on there too, the original without the barbed wire. So, and the extra blood. But I know not everybody wants those kind of things on their merchandise, but I know the metalheads in the crowd love it. And that's me. So that's why there's always going to be a little of that. So yeah, those travel mugs are great, and they're not even that much. I think they're like $12, and I'm sure right now with the sale, you could probably get it for 10 or under. So definitely a steal. The travel mug. Um, yeah, Donna's got the Mayhem Squad, and Donna, that's what I've got. That's the only shirt I didn't order when I placed my initial order. For whatever reason, I forgot to because I meant to. I got my wife a horn tie shirt, and those look awesome too. But I didn't get a Mayhem Squad, and I was going to get a T-shirt for myself, and I just forgot. So I placed another order, and I've actually got it. We could do Why not? We could do it's a free open live today. I just got this package from T Public, so I've been talking about them with the merch, and I get it within a week or so from when I ordered it, which to me is really good for shipping. But here it is right on the top where it should be. But what I like about T Public as well is if you like the design, you can order stickers of it right there when you order. Like you don't have to go and do it on your own. It offers it as an add-on if you want, and they really look. The stickers are awesome if you like the design. So here it is. I just got my Mayhem Squad shirt. I really like the way these turned out. That's my design there with the mace on it, but I definitely dig that. That shirt looks amazing. And then for any of the heavy metal guys out there, you'll get this one. If my friend Shane is on, he's probably gonna spit that he hasn't got his yet, but I think I beat him to it. Uh, got my one of my favorite bands, Bolt Thrower. Got the Bolt Thrower for Those Once Loyal shirt, which is wicked. And then this is a good one here. This is just I just watched The Godfather recently, and I was just really obsessed with it, and still am. It's awesome. But I got this in support of The Godfather, which is Luca Brasi Sleeps with the Fishes. Definitely a good one. Love that design. And some of the designers make them in like a distressed logo, so like it looks like it's been worn, which I think is kind of cool. You know, it's something I see a lot on shirts, but you can get them without that. But I think it's kind of cool. And this one I just couldn't pass on because I love The Shining. In my opinion, The Shining and The Exorcist are the two greatest horror movies ever made. Um, and had to get this one. Just looks so badass with Nicholson in red as he's going down that maze outside the hotel. Love that scene. So yeah. So Don, I thought we'd do a little opening of the packaging here, but you know, T Public's very good at shipping too. I always like that when a company knows how to ship. And there you saw me opening it up live, so it's not like there's some kind of big factory here making a bunch of these shirts. They're custom ordered to you. You can get them whatever size you want, colors. The black is just a suggestion. You could put this logo on a pink shirt if you want. But you know, your option. The V-neck, like Donna got the V-neck, and there's been several ladies that said they really like the V-neck shirts. So I'm not a fan of the V-neck, but hey, obviously some are. Baseball jerseys, they got those. Tank tops, hoodies. The hoodies are amazing. I got this one. I got in my first shipment. It's not cold enough to be needing this thing, but um, the barbed wire logo on a hoodie, and they have two different kinds of hoodies. And I'm pretty sure I ordered the more lightweight one. This one is lightweight, but it feels heavy, like a one that you'd buy that like costs a few bucks. So very nice quality. I'm just completely blown away at the quality. And they ship all over the world, MagMax, so you can get them in the UK, you can get them wherever you are. So it's up to you where you know what you want to do with it. But go on the website. They have a search bar. Search for whatever you like. If you like, I don't know, horror movies, or you like serial killer stuff, or whatever you dig, Italian cooking. I mean, they've got like a million different things you can search for, whatever you want. And they'll give you options and stuff. And some of the stuff's really cool. I found a really cool shirt that way. Just just thought, I wonder if they put this on a shirt, and bam, there it was. I got that from my dad. So yeah, so good to see. Good to see you, Karis, there. See, just joining it back again. Some of you guys post early, and then I don't see it maybe until later. I don't always get a chance to look through the chat, but we're in an open chat today. Appreciate you people coming out. The usual crowd here, which is awesome. Love to see all of you guys here. I really do. I enjoy doing these lives. Last couple weekends we've done just an open discussion, and I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. I mean, it seemed like you guys got what you wanted, and I enjoyed it. There's really no money to be made doing these lives. It's kind of funny. I mentioned this Thursday night when I was on with Lee, that I had somebody in the comments talking about how rich I was getting off the lives, and I laughed and I said, "Dude, I got $1.54 from last time, so I don't want to hear about it." That's about how much we get out of the ad revenue on a typical live, when when we're talking about like an hour and a half. Now, there's some of these 4 and 5 hour lives probably do a little bit more, but not that much more, unless they're getting super stickers and all of that, and that's different. But the ad share, that's the money that we get from the advertisements. It's very pathetically small for a live of mine. Now, maybe some people's are different, but not mine. And here, Meanie posts, even as an adult, The Shining scares the crap out of me. I love The Shining. When I was a kid, I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was really a great movie, of course. Nicholson just killed it in that one. They all did. The whole cast was fantastic. But then my mom read The Shining, and then I borrowed it after she read it. I would have been in like junior high, so a little young to kind of fully understand what was going on, but I liked it. And I remember seeing the character Jack Torrance, and I told my mom, I said, "Hey, Mom, maybe when they do a movie of this, they'll get that guy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, his name's already Jack." And she thought it was funny. And then, sure enough, the movie comes out, and there's Nicholson chasing Danny down the maze with the axe. I mean, it's iconic. But yeah, I love the book. I love that the movie's different than the book, and I like both of them, which is rare for me at least. Usually, the book is so much better. That's just the author and me saying that. The film guys usually don't quite get it the same way. You got somebody like, The Exorcist, William Peter Blatty, and he was also involved in the screenplay, which is pretty rare. Usually, the author of the book has nothing to do with anything. Might be on site, like as a consultant or something, but like Stephen King, his screenplays were garbage. They didn't want them. And I see Karis is here talking about Stephen King too. So yeah, we're in a Stephen King zone. That's all right. That's all right. Open. Certainly not true crime, but fictional true crime, I guess, or fictional crime. But yeah, The Shining, was when it came out. I was like in junior high, as I said, and I remember my sister. She's 4 years younger than me. She wanted to watch it. It was on Showtime, and our mom went to work, which would have meant I would have been about 13. That's when my mom went back to work again, and I could watch my sister. And we watched The Shining at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and she was like traumatized. And so I was like, having to keep her calm that night when she couldn't sleep because it was scaring her and stuff. So I was mean big brother, I guess. But she still loves that kind of stuff to this day, and she still talks to me, and she visited me recently. So I think we're cool. But But yeah, so where's that comment from? Let me get rid of this one. I'm going to put Karis's up there because I agree with her. Uh-huh. Where is it? There we go. Karis from Voice of Astrology says, I love early Stephen King. It's funny people making that distinction. I'm with you. Loved the early stuff. Then he started getting into some, way too political type themes, and I just can't do it. As a politics, I hate getting politics involved with anything, so I'm not a fan. And then also, he likes Boston. He lives near Boston, so he's a Boston fan. And that is a Yankee fan. That's just like a dagger in the heart. So no on Stephen King other than the early stuff. Even his short stories. As a matter of fact, I think he's a better short story writer than a novelist, to be honest. His short stories are over the top good. I love his short stories. As a matter of fact, he's one of the reasons I like to still write short stories because I always want to try to outdo him and the other greats, Robert Bloch and some of those guys. Man, amazing short story writers. There's a knack for writing a good short story. It's not just because you don't have enough information. You're just taking a little part of a bigger story, just a little part of it, and expanding it into a little bit of a close lookup, a deep dive, if you will, on what's going on. So that's how I look at them. You should, I at least don't look at them as like a single event and you're just explaining it because it's a short term thing and it's over and done with. But um, Mark and Betty says, try the French film Martyrs. I'm not familiar with that one. Not familiar with that one, but I'll check that out. Um, is it in English though, Mark and Betty? Hopefully it is. I don't speak French. My wife took French in school, but that's not going to be of much help in a movie. I took Spanish in school, and I can watch like some of the. I love some of the crime Narcos. That one show that was amazing. It was in uh, Portuguese, no, it was in Spanish, but the actor was Portuguese. So, oh, don't watch it. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, I will avoid it then. That's for sure. Okay. I know I posted a video about the Sheriff Steins case down there in Kentucky. Is anybody in this group here watching any of that stuff or following it or want me to keep following it? I mean, it's gotten so crazy. If you've not heard about it, it's the guy who goes, the sheriff, big guy, great big guy, goes into the judge's chambers in the courthouse and just open fires and just boom, boom, boom. Um, that would be just craziness, and it just something that nobody was expecting. So it's a good one to follow for sure. I'm seeing here, I'm getting thrown off, so I'm sorry if I lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm reading the comments and I'm trying to talk at the same time. That could be a train wreck here with my necrotizing fasciitis brain. Have you heard misleading evidence? Wants to know, have you heard of the Wonderland murders? And that's a case you should do on a Tuesday. Yeah, that would be a good one to do on a Tuesday. I've heard of it. I know quite a bit about it. I think that would be that would be a good one for a Tuesday. There's so many good ones for the Tuesdays. I mean, I got 280 something Murder Metal Mayhem podcast episodes I could turn into Tuesdays. We did so many cases of all kinds, the Yuba County Five and West Memphis Three, Zodiac, all the heavy hitters, Bundy, Gacy, Dahmer. Um, We did this, the father of Dahmer. We did jailbreaks like the Texas Seven and Alcatraz and all that stuff. Cases from all over the world. Up in Canada, have done all of the, Alan Legier and what was that one? Oh, Vince Lee, the guy on the bus with the knife, was just at it over the top. So there's just endless topics, as any of us that follow true crime, and that's what I kind of hope that these open discussions would get into, is some other stuff, other than the Idaho 4, because we all know, that cannot go on forever. So, but yeah, I mean, Voice of Astrology also saying she likes the Wonderland murders. It's an interesting case, that's for sure. But yeah, it's not PG rated. But I always joked around when we started doing the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast, because a lot of the others were given all these warnings and stuff. And I remember telling the other guys, I said, man, if you're watching a podcast or listening to a podcast, watching it, whatever, called Murder Metal Mayhem, and you're shocked at what you see, you need to go somewhere else, because that's just stupid. Um, Murder Metal Mayhem, that's why it kills me. Like on YouTube, I recently got contacted by YouTube about some creator like webinar type thing, and I was signing up for it, and it asked what type of material does my channel, what best suits my channel, describing my channel, and true crime wasn't even an option. I'm It's like, okay, so I picked news because that was the closest thing I could find. I mean, that's the problem with the true crime stuff, is we bring them a lot of money because those true crime cases are wildly popular, and the mini series and all that stuff that they do are very popular with all sorts of demographics, not just the women but the men too, and so you'd think that they'd be starving for it, but it's like they want to invite it in because of the money it makes, but because some random advertiser or watcher gets all butthurt about a video that they're watching on a Murder Metal Mayhem channel, then they're gonna want to hide it in the corner, the redheaded stepchild type thing. So I don't know. It is what it is. It's business. I get it. I definitely get it. But yeah. So I think that those are definitely good suggestions. This week on, if you're interested in the Serial Killer Story Hour, which is, by the way, I'm working on a T-shirt for that. It's me reading to a group of like kindergarten children in like a carrot or a cartoon form, and it says Serial Killer Story Hour on the board. So it's funny, I think. So I'm trying to refine it. I've been working on some AI stuff this week, and it's amazing what I can do with knowing so little about that. I'm far from a graphic artist, but doing thumbnails, I've gotten pretty decent at it. Trying to make them as good as I can, but this AI stuff is just wow! It's amazing. So yeah, the guy coming up this week, Charles Albright, one you've probably never heard of before, but he's also known as the Eyeball Killer, and he was doing his thing in the late '80s, early '90s in Dallas, and he was murdering prostitutes, and then he was taking their eyes out with an X-Acto knife, so there was no blood, there was nothing. There would just the coroner would open the eyelid, and there would just be nothing in there. But it was completely done like a surgeon did it, and he would have done it like on the side of the road when he dumped the body. So that's how quick it would have got done. This guy was just uncanny good with an X-Acto knife and leaving corpses behind with no eyes, and they always wanted to know what he did with the eyes. So we'll leave it to Tuesday, but yeah, Tuesday 7 p.m. Central, the Serial Killer Story Hour with me, and this one I'll be doing by myself, but this will be on the serial killer Charles Albright. So if you're interested in going and researching that guy, go right ahead. You might not want to see what you see, but yeah, it's messed up. So I've got so many of those to roll out to you, and we'll do some unsolved ones like Black Dahlia murder. I think's a good case. You know, there's a lot of them. The Jean Benet Ramsey thing. I mean, that was wild. I mean, any of those cases I think are fascinating. I was going to say O.J. Simpson, but we all know what really happened with O.J. Simpson. Was definitely possibly somebody called O.J. Simpson allegedly did that. I don't know, but yeah. So that would be one thing to do. Brainstorming. These sessions are good for that. Brainstorming on. So Brenda's asking the $1 million question: the eyeball killer, did he keep the eyes? Well, Brenda, you know how they do it in TV. They tease you a little bit. You're going to have to come back Tuesday to find the answer out. But I will tell you that if anybody was to ever check my search history, they were going crazy on BK's search history. My search history would have things in it like, how long does it take an eyeball to dissolve in water, in vinegar, or in vegetable oil, in this and that? And then I was calling places like scientific places that did like supplies and asking them questions about how would you store something like that where it would stay the longest. And it was pretty interesting, some of the answers I got. And of course, I had to tell them I'm an author and I'm just doing this for a story. But how do they know I wasn't some maniac trying to keep the eyeballs of my victims? But yeah, it was a case that just the name eyeball killer got my attention, like I'm sure it did you. But yeah, we'll have to see on Tuesday at 7 what happened with his eyeballs. But I wrote a character right after that in a story that I actually did a remake of my own, of my favorite story of all time, short story, The Telltale Heart, Edgar Allan Poe. And I thought it would be cool to pay homage to the master, but also to put my own twist on it, modernize it. And so that's what I did. But the person creeping across the floor and looking through the window or the door at the person in the bed, that was the eyeball killer. But it wasn't the eyeball killer, but it was a guy just like him. And he had a fascination with eyes. And the story's called The Eyes Have It. And it's a good one. And I give my personal uh, guess as to what he could have done with those eyes in my story, because my story goes all the way and talks about that. So, and I can't remember if that one's in Creation of Chaos 3 or 4, but if you go to the website, PeteAltieri.com, I have all the books on there with all the stories that are in each book, so you can look for The Eyes Have It. It could also be, I'm not sure if it is, but it could be a free sample too. I've got a page of free samples you could read, so you can look and see if it's there if you're interested. But I did one of Poe's and I did one of Lovecraft's in the book called Something or The Thing on the Doorstep. I redid that and changed it up some and my own twist to it. But that one I kept the same title. That one I kept the way it was. So yeah, I think there's just so many fun things to talk about on this subject. That's why I don't need much of a push to get into a subject that we could talk about for a while. Voice of Astrology says she loves Poe too. Yeah, Poe is amazing. Poe's the master. Poe is the first American author to make a living. He didn't make much of one, but made a living writing. He's also the first person that we know of that wrote a detective story, The Purloined Letter. Yeah, Poe was unbelievable. I wished he would have got a novel out, though. That's the one thing I would have loved to have seen him try. I heard rumors that he was writing one when he died, but I don't know. He was a mess when he died, so I'm not sure about that. It's terribly sad. Yeah, my uncle made me cassette tapes, and he would go to the library. This is, like in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. He would go to the library and rent albums, and they were like Vincent Price reads, a bunch of Poe stuff. Love Vincent Price, man. That's another iconic person. And I loved hearing that stuff. So he would make me tape recordings of it, and then he would come over and we would listen on my tape deck in my room, and like he would try to scare me and stuff. It was funny, but we both enjoyed those stories. And the Black Cat and the Pit and the Pendulum and all those, so many good ones. But always the Telltale Heart always stuck with me. Um, I'm seeing this here in the chat. Wakinian Tonka. I have Katie's case posted on my page at Sarah Temp. Are you aware Brian was investigated for her murder? Um, no, I'm only familiar with that one case out in Pennsylvania, but I don't think her name was Katie. Um, I don't remember that one, or I remember that one, but I don't recall the woman's name, the victim's name. But it was the one that happened right before he went out to Washington. But they cleared him of that one, as far as I knew. He had a rock solid alibi. But I don't know about this one. I'm not sure. So that no, I'm not familiar with that one. But working on a couple of long term or long form videos, talking with Lee at Devil's Advocates about doing something with a new series coming out called something about the devil. That's what attracted him to it, only because he thought with me and him it would be funny to do it. Um, the devil within, or something like that. It's not correct, but that's close. Um, but it's a new series coming out, and it's about this murder in New Jersey, and it was, they believe it could have been like a possession type thing. And so he asked me if I would watch it, and then we could both do a video and talk about it. So that'll be coming up. That'll be something different. I'm also talking with another creator. I won't say who it is. It's somebody I've never worked with before. Somebody quite a bit bigger than my channel, about twice as big as my channel. We reached out, dropped a comment in one of his videos, and then he responded, and then we've been back and forth. But we're talking about doing something. I'm not going to say what, but it's going to be really cool if we do it. I've been talking about doing it myself anyway. So whether he does it or not, I'm going to do it. It's going to be really cool. It's a case that I think is still relevant today, even though it was 30 plus years ago. So there's cases that just withstand the test of time. I wonder if Idaho 4 will be one of those. If we ever do find out like what really happened, will we look at it as this case that like captivated the world for 2.5 years and then totally trashed everybody's perceptions when when he pled guilty and all of that. So yeah, I think there's certain cases that just ring true with that kind of thing. Um, I thought it would be fun. I had a hunch. I wondered if that there were any big Labor Day true crime events. So I went and looked it up. So you guys want to take a look at that with me? I'll share that screen with you. Labor Day murders. Fun subject. Let me make sure that's working. There we go. Okay. So I just did this Google search for it. Of course, nowadays it does an AI thing, which is fine with me. I don't really care. Notable cases referred to as the Labor Day murders, 1990, Starkville, Mississippi. Not familiar with this one. An 81-year-old woman and her 61-year-old caretaker. Um, Suspect was arrested nearly 30 years later with some new DNA. That's cool. The crimes were also featured on the Netflix series The Confession Tapes, so that might be worth a watch. 2000 auto salvage yard murders on Labor Day in 2000. The owner and an employee of an auto salvage yard were murdered. Case also featured on Netflix, The Confession Tapes. Okay. 2020, Michael Mowry in Rochester, New Hampshire, 19-year-old, fatally shot in his apartment. Unsolved case, been covered on some other podcasts. So, some recent Labor Day violence, Chicago shootings. I mean, Chicago shootings, that's like an every night thing. Those fools up there. Over 2023 Labor Day weekend, Chicago experienced a surge of gun violence. 10 people killed, 34 wounded. Um, More Chicago shootings in 2021. It's awful. It really is. But those are the more well known, I guess, or the top ones that Google felt were the big cases of Labor Day weekend. But that didn't. None of those jumped out at me as ones I'd even heard of before. But that doesn't mean that it's not an interesting case. I'm sure you've had that happen to you watching YouTube, and it suggests a video that for whatever reason sounds interesting, and you click on it and it's like, wow, this is really cool. This is really interesting. I really like this one. So anybody else got any questions or comments or a topic they want to talk about? um, I wanted to make sure I got in about the serial killer story hour, just because I knew that that was coming, the next thing coming up. There will be no live next week on Thursday with Lee, because Lee's going to be at CrimeCon. So he's going to be busy with that. So won't be able to do that one with him on Thursday. So I'll probably just take the night off and not do one on Thursday. So, and just take it as a night off. But let's see here. Anybody else want to get in on any discussion? I know that Sheriff Stein's case is going to keep getting interesting. The Long Island serial killer case, we did that one on Thursday, and we, we've got quite a bit of people interested in that. Good chat, good discussion. Um, that Rex Hewerman, I mean, whether it was just him or whether it was him and his wife or the daughter or all three, I mean, my gosh, that would be messed up beyond compare. I mean, I would never even heard of something like that. Here's a good point from Voice of Astrology. Why do you think the Idaho 4 case captivated us the way it did? And she says, I became obsessed with it. Yeah, me too. Um, I would say, at least, I'm not an expert or anything, but I would say that um, a big part of it was the victims were attractive, young college students. That right there, unfortunately, I mean, as shitty as that is, and we're talking about Long Island serial killer, the complete opposite of that, right? Not that they weren't pretty. I'm just saying that those victims were prostitutes. So law enforcement at that time, admittedly in that department, didn't care. They just thought like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when you've got four quote unquote innocent college students, it matters to people. So, and I think too, when you talk about somewhere like Idaho, like I'm not thinking, when I hear Idaho, I'm thinking of like people fishing and like nice outdoorsy kind of family friendly living. I'm not thinking about crime. I'm not thinking about the cesspool that Moscow is. I would have never have thought that. So I think that kind of threw me off. It seemed like something didn't make sense, like the whole idea that everything I heard about it made less sense than the moment before. I think that captivated. It was a story you wanted to solve, but you couldn't even figure out what exactly they're talking about happened, let alone solve it. I don't know how you solve something that's so sloppily put together. But I think definitely the victims, I think the area where it was, a lot of it too is timing. We talk about this a lot on the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast is why do some of these guys with these crazy high body counts not get any press? You know, like the chessboard killer. I mean, it was like 60 something people. I mean, that's awful. Or Dean Coral, with 27 or whatever it was, not far from Gacy. And he's the one that inspired Gacy. So I don't understand why Dean Coral doesn't ever get talked about. And his assistant is getting some talking now because Catherine Ramsland just did a book about him, the Serial Killer's Apprentice. I bought it. I've started it, but it's good. But I've been really busy. I haven't gotten as much done as I wanted to in the book because I'm going to hopefully be doing an interview with her. So he was Dean Coral's handyman, so to speak. He was going and getting his victims for him, and he was doing it for a price. It was messed up because he wasn't that much older than the victims. And he was going out and befriending them and then bringing them to Dean Coral. And he was doing his thing and torturing them, and it was horrible. So, why do those guys get less coverage than Gacy? It's just hard to say. But I think all of those things factor in timing. What's the news cycle like at the time? Where's the story coming from? You know, do they have a suspect? People love the chase too. Like, okay, they've got some clues. Now they're trying to figure it out. That captivates as well. And that's how it was, but just for a short amount of time before they got their claws in on Brian. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think is the reason why the Idaho 4 took off like it did, as compared to other stories that maybe happened around that time? I mean, none of us heard about Brent Kopacka until we got into the Idaho 4. I mean, I guess unless you're a local, none of the rest of us would have heard about Brent Kopacka until the Idaho 4. So I know it's only one person. It's still one person is too many. I meant it as the execution, which is what I think it was, of an individual by the police should be worldwide. What happened, but unfortunately, with the way the news cycle is if it's not some sort of racial component to the incident, they don't want to talk about it, and so we never heard about it. But then when we start following the Idaho 4, then all of a sudden you hear the name Brent Kopacka and you learn about what happened to him, or at least what little we can figure out what happened to him. Another one of these Nobody saw a body. No service. Well, they did have some sort of memorial service for Brent, um, but I'm not sure about anything beyond that. So very, very questionable. But I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you guys think is the reason why we've got such a hysteria around that particular case? And what's the next? What's the next Idaho 4 is the $1 million question. Those cases don't come around. You know, um, they don't come around. You know, all the time. They come in once in a great while. Once in a great while. So here we got. I think certain cases are designed to be psychologically captivating, and in some of the more highly publicized cases, there may even be some added techniques to create pattern behaviors. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I think like I said, it's a business. So just like the mainstream media, they are there to make money. They're not doing it out of just the enjoyment. So a lot of their stories do get people amped up. Maybe they exaggerate. I've been involved in my former job when I was working. I'm retired now, but when I worked, um, it was a company that I was sometimes having to deal with the media when it came to regulatory type infractions and stuff like that. And I remember many times my words being kind of twisted around. I don't know if it was by on purpose, but I think it was just one of those things that it happened, and it was unintentional. I think it was just the way they perceived it, or the inaccuracy of trying to write it down as somebody saying something. Busting out the water today. Peach water. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, if you guys are still around here at the end, I'm going to give away a few more of these Murder Metal Mayhem stickers. Really nice 3-inch round stickers that I got here just the other day. And I got some I'm sending out to some of the people that were here right at the beginning, but I'll do a little question, and you give me the answer, and then you'll be in the running for the sticker if you get the right answer. So just pay attention here, and these lives don't go more than 90 minutes. But if we're done, in 10 or 15, we're done in 10 or 15. So it's really up to you guys and what you want to talk about here. Okay. But let me see here what else I got on my list. There's the thing about Tuesday was telling you about. So if you're interested in checking out that new show, that's a good one. And then AR's channel. So if you want to go over there and give some love, donate to AR, you can go over there and do that. I'm sure he would appreciate it. Him and Jen dealing with a lot of stuff over there. And we have a membership here on the channel. Got the Horns High Club and the Mayhem Squad. So appreciate all you guys that are members. You guys are amazing. And if you want to join up, you can do that right in the description, I believe. And I know you can do it right from the channel itself. So you can do it that way. And of course, if you want to help for free, all you got to do is, like the video, drop a comment below if you're watching on the replay crew, and let us know, what you're thinking. Let us know what your thoughts are. But anybody else in the comments here interested in talking about any other cases? Anybody into the Flora 4? Delphi is a good one. Um, the Karen Reed case. Um, there's a lot of cases out there. I mean, I can't possibly follow all of them. The Luigi Mangione I haven't followed, but I know that Lee and Devil's Advocates has been all about that. So if that interests you at all, you can go check out Lee's channel because he's doing that kind of stuff over there. He's covering the Idaho 4, Long Island serial killer, and Luigi Mangione, and that's pretty much all he's doing. I'm kind of doing whatever strikes my fancy. I'm not doing this to pay bills, thankfully, because I wouldn't be able to survive paying the bills with what I get from this. But I'm doing this just because I like doing it. So I'm just going to talk about what I want to. And here's Donna Lembo. Karen Reed has been popular. Proctor and Turtle Boy keeping it going. Yeah, I mean, the Karen Reed case, it was one of those cases that it should have interested me, but for whatever reason, every time I tried to watch stuff on it, I would fall asleep or I just couldn't pay attention. And I think it was just overload. There's just so much that I think a brain can take before it throws up a red flag. It says, "Oh, dude, let's think about this for a second. Let me get rid of some junk here first, clean house, so come back to this, put it on the burner, but it's an interesting case. And the fact that she was found, not guilty there in that second trial, I mean, that was, and how the first trial ended was just really strange. So I could see, why people would have found it interesting like you did. I know you were really into it. Here, Kenyan Tonka. Delphi is still very interesting. It has the same type of numerical patterning you see in the Idaho 4 case. It's the same exact numerology, but it's not. But it's not this. That's confusing. It's the same exact numerology, but it's the same concept. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not into the numerology thing. I know that it's come up quite a bit in both these cases. I do think that the Delphi crimes were done by the Odinists. I firmly believe that. I think that they did this. I think they were the ones that posed the bodies into the shapes they did and the runes on the body that they left. And those idiot cops that showed up just broke the sticks up and didn't even save them and then had to go back and try to recreate it. I mean, so stupid. I mean, I don't understand. Um, you know, what's going on with that. But Delphi was very fascinating and very similar to the Idaho 4 in that a lot of people don't feel that the person that they convicted is guilty. And Richard Allen, I think, is even less guilty than Koberger, to be honest with you, if I was to say so. But I see my mom showing up late. That's all right, Mom. You get a pass. You're okay. You're always okay. You're always okay. But yeah, misleading evidence says Richard Allen was moved to Oklahoma for safety concerns. Yeah, that was true. Um, the poor guy, he's like 5'5", I mean, he stands no chance in prison with people going after him. And because the victims were young girls, I'm sure that's going to be something that's going to follow him around. But what's sad is that, if you don't think that he did it, that's really messed up, to have that kind of hanging over your head um, when maybe you didn't even do it at all, and I really don't. I don't see a guy that's 5'5" manhandling two girls, those 13 and 14. No, they could have got away from him. Now, if he had a gun like they say he did, then maybe he would have gotten a lot more, attention with that for sure. But that round that they found, I mean, that's like the speck of DNA on the knife sheath kind of evidence. I mean, give me a break. I mean, they searched that area in the woods where the bodies were found. They found no evidence to speak of. They cleared everything out. They turned it back over to the landowner. And then a week or two later, shut it down again as a crime scene, went through it again, and then they found this round, not a spent round, an unspent round from a 40 caliber handgun in the dirt like an inch or two down. So we're to believe that Richard Allen, for some reason, cocked the weapon and discharged an unspent round into the ground 2 inches. And this would have been, recent. This wouldn't have been like years later where something like that could happen. I don't think it's going to go inches under the ground in a matter of, a month or a couple of months. I just don't. There was a bunch of leaves down on it. I mean, I'm just not seeing it. It's a fall or the winter, actually. It was February. So, yeah, it was the winter. So, and the way they analyze an unspent round with the markings is much less reliable than the spent round markings. These are very gray, and the science behind it is weak at best. And so the fact that people are using that to hang this guy is messed up because it's very, very weak evidence. So, but that on top of some of these other things, I mean, convinced them to say he was guilty, but I don't see it. I just don't. Yeah, I think that that he was getting rough. We know he was getting roughed up in prison. I mean, he was getting all beat up with these guards, these Odinist guards. I mean, first of all, the first two suspects they interviewed were Odinists, and then they mysteriously overwrote the interviews. The system in the police station inadvertently erased those interviews. How convenient is that? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's like Moscow Police Department type stuff. The dog ate my homework. The evidence shed caught on fire. The refrigerator where we keep the blood and DNA was unplugged by mistake. Sorry. That's like a Moscow PD type thing. I just don't know who these police departments are hiring that they're that stupid to do some of this stuff. I mean, really. I mean, I know a lot of them are smart, but man, some of them are just dumber than hell. Yeah, Teresa says the feds need to take down Carroll County in Indiana. Yeah, Carroll County is just, it's rotten. It's rotten. The whole lot of them are just rotten over there. They need to clear it out. You know what's interesting is one of the founders of Delphi, Indiana, one of the founding families of Delphi, Indiana, their last name is Mabbitt. I wonder if they're related to old Kathy Mabbitt over there in Idaho. So I thought that was funny when I was researching it. A family that was a very wealthy family that was one of the founding fathers of that area was Mabbitt. So I thought that was crazy. Yeah, here Lucy Morningstar says science reminds me of the time Cy Ray got mad about J for Justice misquoting him. Yeah. Just looking through here. Somebody else commenting on OJ. Yeah. Boy, remember sitting there watching the TV when they read that? Oh my God, that was crazy. I saw some of the new Moscow photos released of BK's apartment. The apartment looked like he was returning. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that they released more photos. I haven't really watched them though. I haven't really watched them. I know that my personal consumption of the case has definitely slowed down, and my videos have certainly slowed down. I'm still watching it, but I'm just not. I'm not as engaged with it as I was, just because I can't be. I cannot be able to absorb myself in that and do this other stuff too. Um, so you got to kind of make a make room for stuff, something else, you know. Plus, I'm working on the book too, and that's difficult to do in amidst all this other stuff. So I'm trying to get that done. First time I've ever written nonfiction, so it's not something I'm really familiar with. How long it will take, or what, you know, that sort of thing. But it's moving along at a good pace. Writing novels, that's a long haul. I This is the first time I'm doing one without working. I always have worked, like a day job while I did it. I even wrote one while I was in the army, which is a day and night job. Um, it's tough. It's tough to keep the schedule, to keep it going, because the worst thing you could do is stop. You know, you just got to keep writing it. You know, if you're an author out there, people always ask me, you know, what are your tips and this sort of thing? I say, look, you know, the best thing to do is just not stop. Just keep writing it. You know, the first draft should be like writing the idea down as if you want to remember it and not forget details. So don't worry about the writing, just get the details down like you're telling the story to somebody. Then once you've done that, you get the story down, then it's like, okay, now I got to take this and make it more polished and all that. And then you can worry about that stuff. You just get the idea down on paper first and then tweak it from there. So it's good advice, because the last thing you want to do is stop. It's so hard to get back to it. It's just like when you stop going to college, you know, like I did. Say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go back to it. Yeah, well, that's easier said than done. It's tough with life going on around you and everything else. So, all right. Following the chat here, not seeing any more questions about true crime. So I think I'm gonna wind this thing down. So let's see. Question for the sticker. Let's see. Oh, let me think here of a good one. Let's see. In the Idaho 4 case, what is the name of the guy who walked them back from the corner club to the grub truck, known as Hoodie Guy? What's the name of Hoodie Guy? His nickname is fine. I don't know full name, but go ahead and drop that in the comments if you're interested in the sticker. U.S. only. So if you're outside the U.S., sorry, it's just the postage gets expensive. I had a few people from the beginning, so if you're one of them, don't forget to send me that email. Um, but yeah, see an answer, see a couple answers. Good, good. I'll give you guys a minute, and then I'll use the random number generator and pick the winner. So you got a minute to come up with the answer of who's the guy who drove or walked Kaylee. It's so weird with these cameras because everything's done in reverse. It's like backing up a trailer. These stickers right here. You get a sticker if you get the right answer, and I pick your name. So we're coming up here on a minute. I'm going to stop it here at a minute, and then we'll give out some stickers. We only got those 3, so here we are at a minute. All right, I got 4, so we're going to stop it at manual. So all of you guys are going to get stickers. How about that? So Meanie, Sean Marie, manual. Oh, there's 2 manual. Okay. So you 3, you guys get a sticker, and all you got to do is email me at pete@murdermetalmayhem.com and give me your snail mail and put sticker in the subject, and I will send you one of these. If you're outside the U.S., it doesn't count, okay? But if you're in the U.S., I'll send you one of these. I'll even write a quick note, thank you, or whatever, so you have proof that it came from Murder Metal Mayhem itself, all right? You're very welcome. I love giving stuff away. Don't forget, if you're not already in that store, you want to go get your merch this weekend. 35% off. Tons of great stuff. They got hoodies, they got hats, t-shirts, mugs, magnets, all sorts of prices, but 35% off. I mean, these t-shirts, like the classic Murder Metal Mayhem t-shirt that I got on right now, that one is $16. I mean, where are you going to go get a good shirt for $16? I mean, it's not going to happen. And we've got 4 or 5 different designs. So if you want to get in on the Labor Day deal, then go over to our website on the TeePublic site, which is, I'm going to get that for you. Let's see, I should have had that ready. There we go. So you just go to tpublic.com user/murder metal mayhem. Or if you just go to tpublic.com and search for Murder Metal Mayhem, you'll find it that way too. Or you could go to the description of this video and there's a link right there. You just click away and get in on that, because it's a great sale to be able to do that for you guys. Keep the merchandise prices low. I don't price this stuff. It's all on them, and when they do the sales, it's all on them. But you can get some really good deals there, and you can put the logo on a whole variety of stuff, which is really, I think, the coolest feature of all. And the colors are different. I love black shirts, but not everybody does. You want a blue one or a pink one or a green one, you could put the logo and they'll show you what it'll look like. So it might be too dark, or it might not work with that color. So you could play around. They got baseball jerseys, t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, hats, all sorts of stuff. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close up the shop today, but I appreciate you guys coming out. We'll do this again next weekend. Not sure which day yet. I always kind of hold off till I get closer to the weekend, so I know if I've got anything going on that'll conflict with doing these. So we'll come back to it and figure it out. But if you're a member of the channel, or if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll know when the videos are coming out. So I strongly suggest you like the video. If you're not a subscriber, if you would please subscribe, that helps the channel grow. And if you're watching it on the replay, same thing for you guys, and leave comments, because it helps the video get out there to more people. So thank you guys very much, and I'll see you next time.